heard this happened, you're in trouble, I just say, let's talk about this situation that I heard about, and I would get their perspective before moving on with the conversation. And oftentimes the repercussions aren't even discussed in that meeting. It's the next day. So we've had time to gather more information about what happened in the situation. Now this doesn't happen that often, but when it does, we make sure to have a meeting where there's a conversation, and I want the players to feel as though they have a voice, feel as though they're respected, and so we discuss what happened. We will then talk about what the repercussions are from that after the coaching staff decides what that will be. And after the whole situation is over, we'll sit down with the players again and touch base about what their experience was, losing the privilege that they had or having the restriction that they had, and talk about kind of how that affected them, what they'll do differently moving forward, and move on from it. And oftentimes it's never revisited again. I have a couple players this year who got into some trouble last year, and it hasn't been an issue. They still feel respected. They know that if I own my mistake, serve the consequences, we'll move on from it. And that leads me to another thing that we're very much about at Bucknell is no excuses. So anytime something goes on, it's a much better situation when the players own their mistakes and are able to just talk that through, as opposed to trying to make an excuse about, well, so-and-so told me to do this, or this happened and it was so-and-so's fault, or any kind of excuse we do not listen to. So reason number one that I mentioned was to get more fit. So the more fit you are, the fewer injuries there tend to be. We've seen that with the national team recently. I was talking earlier to someone about, we have a push band now with the national team that there's an app on our phone. It tracks everything we do in the weight room. It has all of our workouts in the app. And all of that data goes back to our strength and conditioning coach, which means that everybody is now doing every workout, because even though we're all across North America, everybody now is very accountable for every single day of workouts, and we have had way fewer injuries because of that. Last year we had 0 major injuries through the summer, and that was really, really cool and a testament to our strength and conditioning program. So it's extremely important to be fit and improve our fitness. We test our athletes after returning to campus from both the summer and the winter break. For the national team, we're also tested. We were just tested in November, and we will be again in April. And there are expectations at Bucknell, we have expectations for by position with regard to the timing on our conditioning tests. For the national team, we have different levels of the fitness scores. So level 1 being the lowest, level 2, level 3, and 4. Level 3 is meeting expectations. They want every player to be able to average all their test scores to a level 3. They want every team to be at an average of a level 3. The reason for that is they know that someone of my size is not going to be as successful with a med ball toss as someone who's 6 feet tall. And so they know that some people are going to have one strength while others have another strength, and they want to make sure that we balance that out. So that photo right there, the player on crutches is myself. So just the reason I included that is because in 2013, I fractured my tibial plateau playing. It was from a collision with a base runner who was playing shortstop and came across to tag her when she was attempting to steal, and she should not have been stealing. She was about my height and about 3 times as wide as I was, and I'm still to this day not certain why she went. So she was 3 or 4 steps out, and instead of easing up or sliding to the base or trying to evade the tag, she went right into my leg as I was planting. And so the impact, my bones hit each other and cracked, and the doctors said had I not been in that good of shape, I had not followed our lifting program, I probably would have torn every ligament in my knee. So it just speaks to the importance of the strength and conditioning programs for injury prevention. Reason number 2, to get faster. So a lot of you were down when I was talking about base running. We are aggressive on the bases and in order to increase our run production. It's going to help us win more games. And so we want to be as fast as possible. We want to be as fit as we can be, which will allow us to be faster. We work on first steps, our starts, our ability to change direction. And at Bucknell, we have one day allocated fully to an hour-long speed training workout. And outside of that, we work to incorporate it into practices. Just because of our time constraints, I'm sure some of you heard me talking up here about just trying to fit everything in. It's so tough, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have those same issues. So we dedicate 1 hour to speed training and then work to incorporate it into practice in different ways. For Team Canada, every day that we have a lift, we have about a 15-minute warm-up, and then 5 to 10 minutes of speed work before we lift. So it's incorporated into those 3 days of workouts. So instead of thinking, oh, I have to get speed training in at some point today, it's just incorporated into when I'm going to lift, I know that I'm going to get some speed work in prior to that. So we test our speed and agility as well. And the photos on the bottom, I just wanted to show again. I know I talked on my base running presentation just about the body angle for optimum speed and just ensuring that we're staying low, keeping that body angle. Here's our speed and conditioning testing. So for Bucknell, we do a bunch of tests in the weight room, but then our speed and conditioning specific testing, we do the 5, 10, 5, 20-yard sprint, and half gassers. So half gassers are the width of a football field down and back, which comes out to 106 2/3 yards by the time you get down and back. And then it's a minute rest. Then you do that again 16 times. And so that's fairly challenging, and you also have to kind of learn the test and not give your 100% effort on the first rep and not be able to keep the time on the next reps. And we have our middles and outfielders have a time of 18 seconds. Our corners and catchers have a time of 19 seconds, and then our pitchers have a time of 20 seconds for each rep, and then a minute rest after that. For Team Canada, we also do 5, 10, 5. We do a 30-yard sprint with a 10-yard split, and then we do the beep test. So the beep test and the half gassers are the ones that people get the most anxious for and most stressed out for, and that's obviously the one testing our conditioning. And in my mind, the reason that it gives the most anxiety is because it's more of a mental test than anything else. Our minds are extremely powerful and can push us through those ones. That photo is just the gates we use for, unfortunately I don't have those at Bucknell, but our Team Canada testing is done using the gate timing so that it's to the millisecond accurate for every single person. So reason number 3 is to improve our base running. So lateral and linear starts and movements, we incorporate those into our speed training, awkward starts, and I think of anything else, the biggest difference between base running and between what a sprint coach does with their athletes is we start in various positions, whereas they start from their starter blocks every single time. You could be diving back to a base and having to get up and go. You could be square to home plate after a lead, this, that, or the other thing, trying to evade a tag and then getting and going. So we incorporate those into our workouts as well. And incorporate it during live reads, during coin toss. So reason number 4 is to gain respect for one another. And I mentioned the push band and how that has forced everybody to be doing the exact workout plan that our strength and conditioning coach wants us to do. And that has allowed our players to respect each other more than ever before. Because not that we doubted each other previously, but just the way it's set up now, knowing that everybody's putting in the hard work that you are putting in, just grows that respect to the next level. There's been a ton more communication between players, just talking about the different workouts, sharing photos, sending a Snapchat of sweat dripping off your face about how tough those shuttles just were, and just the communication has gone up, and therefore the respect has improved a lot. Our fitness and speed test times have gone up a ton as well, and just seeing that has allowed our players to respect each other to that next level. When players put in extra work, when you know that your teammate is willing to go the extra mile for you, again, respect just climbs and climbs and climbs. So we've seen that have a big impact as well. And the visual evidence of when teammates are putting in the work, it just reinforces everything that I've just mentioned. I included that photo of Frankie, we call her, always one to get dirty, and just the respect for players like that who are going to go the extra mile, put their bodies on the line, get dirty, just continues to climb. So, reason number 5, to improve overall team morale. This photo here is a team, so they split us up into teams based on our beep test scores. So they just kind of tried to make every team as even as possible. This was when we were training abroad in Japan earlier in the summer this past year. And we had just finished a pretty tough workout in the gym, and we stepped back outside and started walking, and our coach said, all right, we're going on the track. And we're like, oh dear, what are we doing? So they split us up into teams based on our fitness levels to try to make everything as even as possible. And they had us do a competition between our smaller teams. And what it was each of the 5 players would run 400, so it was a 400 relay. So one player would run a 400, the next player would go, we had to pass the baton as we went. And if any of you have ever run a 400, it sucks. It is the worst. If you ask me to do anything at a track, I would rather do anything that's shorter or anything that's longer. The 400 is just one of those things where you're trying to sprint at full speed for longer than your body should be able to sprint at full speed. And the feeling in your legs, the mental talk that's going on in your head, it is not enjoyable at all. So they decided that would be a great test and competition for us to have. So the 5 of us got together and immediately knew we were the oldest team within our team. So we called ourselves Team 149 because that was our collective ages. And we're the 4 oldest players, and then one who's a couple years younger but still a more veteran player. And so we talked about how competitive we were as a group and how we were going to work together, we were going to push each other, and we were going to win. The coaches were all sitting on a little ledge, 30 feet away from the track, over there making their bets on which team they thought would win. Not a single coach chose our team because they thought we were old and slow. So we started the race, and we had our strategy: who was going to start, who was going to be the middle people, who was going to finish. And through the whole race, we only did 4 laps. It felt like 18, but we only did 4 laps a person, and it was extremely tough. And between your reps, you're basically just trying to regain your breath. Some of us were lying on the ground with our feet in the air, trying to drain the lactic acid out quickly. But just the amount of determination, grit, and this competitiveness that we saw within each other during that, even when you were barely able to breathe, you're yelling for your other teammate who's now running around the track. And for the last lap, there were people who would run down to the opposite end and then run alongside one of our teammates. So just seeing that support, like I was the very last runner to go in our group, and there was a player who started from a different team who was a quarter of the way around the track already when I started, and my goal was to catch her, and I got about 20 to 30 feet behind her, and she finally heard my feet and kicked up another gear because she didn't want me to catch her, so she ended up kind of matching my speed, and I didn't overtake her, but that would have been us lapping them. So it wasn't even that we were trying to beat that team, we were trying to lap the team that was in last place. We did such a good job with it. And what that says about my teammate is it took an external motivator for her to kind of kick into that next gear. And what that said about our team, the 5 of us, was that we were maybe older, maybe not overall the fastest group, but we had the mental toughness to get through that drill. We had the competitiveness and just the experience that went along with it. So doing drills like that allowed us to kind of work together and create our own bonds and now have this team within a team. And it really allowed me to gain a lot of respect for those other players on that team. It was kind of, especially in the game of softball where it's not a grind in the same sense that other games are, where, you know, a soccer player, you're running for 90 minutes. And there's other sports where it's more of a physical grind in that way. So having opportunities for the team to do activities like that, conditioning sessions like that, that push you outside of your comfort zone in a way that doesn't happen that often in softball, was really cool to see kind of at the core who was willing to go that next to that next level. And I played ice hockey and softball in college, and the thing that I miss in the softball environment is that mental toughness, that hard work, that grit, that pushing through that next sprint. And you know, very much in a hockey environment, your conditioning is huge. Every single day, you're getting on the line and doing a conditioning drill and pushing through and having to feel those moments where you don't feel like your body can go anymore, and having to find somewhere some bit of energy inside of you. And that's the one thing that I really, really miss just coaching softball now. So finding ways to get those tests of the mental toughness and taking it to the next level has been something that we've really been trying to do. And would I recommend doing this all the time? Absolutely not. But it was at a perfect time in our season where it was early enough and we're in great shape. Obviously, we know that we've all been training really hard all year long, and so it was a good time in the year to push through a session like that. I would not recommend doing it when you're about to go into a weekend of important games, but it was definitely a good experience for us. And one of the players in that photo, so on my team, she and I haven't had the best kind of history together, and we were both in different places early on when we played together, and just didn't have that close of a relationship. And after we went through this experience, our respect for one another just went through the roof, because we saw that we were willing to put ourselves on the line for each other in order to win that competition, in order to work together as a team. So I definitely encourage you to try some very physically taxing activities with your players in order to test that out. Throwing a little tidbit about the program. Have a lot of you heard of the program? A couple people. So they travel around to colleges, teams, companies, and put teams through very strenuous activities. And they'll be there for 2 days. It'll be an evening and an early morning, 2 days of work. And in those 2 days, they'll really push the players to their max, find out who's able to withstand that, who can step up and be a good leader in those situations. And it's something kind of similar to that in the test of mental toughness. And I definitely recommend looking into it or learning more about how to test your players' mental toughness and see who's willing to go the extra mile. So next is as a reward. And now this is probably the most weird part to most of you, is why would players want conditioning as a reward? And at first they don't, but they learn. So when we do individual or team competitions in practice, so an individual competition would be something like knockout, where there's a coach hitting ground balls and you get to stay into the next round if you field it cleanly and make a good throw. And so the last player standing is the winner of that drill. And at our practices, if you win that drill, you get burpees or sprints or push-ups or something along those lines. Team competition, maybe we'll break the team into 3 groups and we'll do a 3-team scrimmage. So there's 2 teams in the field, 1 team at bat. We'll rotate through, play a couple innings of that, and then the team that ended on top gets a little fun conditioning workout. Yeah, so burpees, push-ups, planks, sprints, bodyweight squats, shuttle runs. Those are all rewards within our program. Another way to look at it is individual or team assessments of a value that we promote. So for example, hard work or focus or something that we expect the players to show up to practice with every single day. And so at the end of practice, we'll say, so on an individual day, we'll say, okay, rank your focus today from start to end of practice out of 10. And they're usually very honest about where they feel they were, because they all must then share out loud to the group what they felt their focus was. And then if you score a 10, you do 10 of whatever it is. So say 10 hill sprints. If you gave yourself a 9, you do 9 hill sprints. I've seen players score themselves as low as a 5 or 6 on something like that. And as soon as they finish their 5th sprint, they try to sneak back in the line because they don't want to not do it. And so I have to make sure to mentally note who ranked themselves where and call them out off the line, because they want to put the work in at that point. And it becomes one of those situations where now they want to be running, now they want to be conditioning, now they take pride in the fact that they're able to do that extra work. So that's always interesting to see, going from the first time you talk about positive conditioning with your team to then seeing when players are asking, can I run? No, you can't. You didn't earn that right. So we talk about earning the right to get better on a daily basis. Through that, we're promoting what will benefit us. So the players learn to understand that fitness is helping them in their sport. It's helping them be better, evade injury, be faster, be stronger, be fitter, be more successful on the field. And so they start to appreciate the fitness piece in a different way. So it just kind of flips that mentality. A team assessment might be, okay, as a team during practice today, how hard did we work? Did we work as hard as we could today as a team? And so what do you guys think? And they'll rank themselves from 1 to 10. And then as a group, they have earned whatever it is that day. Maybe foul goals. All right, you ranked us as a 7 for our hard work today. Let's go do 7 foul goals. And then they learn to obviously we don't love running. That's probably my least favorite thing about the sport, is having to do that piece of the conditioning, but it just gives you a different perspective on it and allows the players to appreciate it in a different way. So reason number 7 was to improve our mental game. And the workout that I mentioned about the 5 of us on Team 149 that did those 400s, that more than anything was a mental test, and tested our mental toughness and tested how we respond to our self-talk, how we're able to encourage ourselves through that. This fall, I had the Bucknell team do a few workouts that were pretty tough. And at the end of the day, it's not because we have to be able to run a marathon as a softball player. It's because I wanted them to push themselves past their comfort zone, outside their comfort zone, and be able to have those experiences where they feel exhausted and still have one more to do, and to be able to test that mentality and push through it. So, as I mentioned with our 400 workout, for us, the fall or the off season is a preferred time for these types of workouts, as opposed to when we're getting into the nitty-gritty of season and looking to just maintain what we've built. We want to have these tests outside of season beforehand, and then be able to build on that mindset and maintain that conditioning fitness level. So I'll just talk a little bit more about the psychology behind it. And my goal is to promote the behaviors and the mentalities that I want the players to have, that I want them to embody, that I want them to buy into. And So I'm no longer teaching them that fitness is a punishment. I'm teaching them that fitness is a way to be better at our game, to be the best athlete you can be, and just pounding that into their minds. And they do have a different perspective on it, but it's an all or nothing philosophy. So when a few years back, I was coaching at Stevenson University just outside Baltimore, and I was the assistant hockey coach and head softball coach, and had implemented this philosophy with the softball team and was very, very good friends with the hockey coach while we were working together, and she decided to try it with the hockey team. I said, okay, but it's an all or nothing thing. You have to dive in head first and embody this philosophy fully. With the game of hockey, it's very similar. I feel like hockey and basketball, a lot of the time you hear get on the line. And so with hockey, it's very much ingrained in the culture that if things aren't going well, if the practice is going sluggish, you send your players to the line and then you are doing shuttles back and forth until they cannot move any longer and get the message. So it was extremely challenging to kind of change her mentality as a hockey coach in that way. So at the beginning of the season, we went in with the idea we're going to do positive conditioning. The players ended up really buying into it. So we would have, once a week was competition day, the team was split up into 3 teams. There'd be little mini games, cross-ice games, and whoever won that series then earned extra conditioning at the end of practice. And the other teams who lost would be there on the boards, again, asking if they could join. And so they took to it very well, and it made them want to be grinding with their teammates, and made them even more so want to win the competition so that they could do that extra conditioning. But then something in the middle of the season went wrong, head coach got really mad and yelled, get on the line. And so having that kind of double mentality does not work in the same way as when you dive in head first and just are fully bought into the idea of conditioning being a positive thing. So it takes the negativity fully away from running. I know I spoke the other night about the mental game and how my biggest struggle is when I get on the treadmill and the negative self-talk starts automatically every single time. Even after playing the game for 20 years, it's still, when I get on the treadmill, that same thing happens. But I'm able to switch that mentality very quickly. And so even though there's still going to be some of that negativity around in your mind, it takes the negative connotation away from fitness, from running, and from hard work. And it's really, really cool to see the players come around and get excited to win a competition in order to earn more conditioning and more work. And it really, really hits home when things don't go well and they're then punished with practice being taken away from them, or something like that being taken away from them, and just seeing that the impact that it has on the players when they realize that you're right, like the ability to be at practice, the ability to get better, the ability to become more fit is a privilege, and I need to earn that right. And it creates a positive environment around speed and conditioning. I think I'm in a pretty unique position having the ability to jump into our speed and conditioning workouts and have some fun with the players in that. I don't think there are a lot of coaches who are in that situation, but I really dive into that head first, and I think that even, if there's a wall sit at the end of practice that a coach can jump into, I think that goes a long way as well for the players to know that, I'm willing to grind through this with you, and not that you have to jump in and do everything, but I think anything that you can do as a coach that shows the players that you understand what they're going through, you're willing to push yourself through it and be right there alongside them, helps a lot. And then just increasing the understanding of fitness benefits, because we talk about it so much and because it's such a different philosophy than they've ever heard of before. There's a ton of conversations around it, and they really start understanding why they do the running, why they do the swim workouts, why they do the speed workouts, et cetera, et cetera. So with all of that, we do a lot of work. We do a lot of grinding and a good conditioning plan. Just wanted to put a little reminder in there. A good conditioning plan always incorporates off days for proper rest and recovery is extremely important. I mentioned our 5 off days for Team Canada that we were able to just relax and hang out and recover, and that allowed us to be extremely successful through the end of our season. And I think it's really important to build that into any program. NCAA mandates for us that we have 1 day off a week, so we can practice for 6 days a week, 1 mandatory day off a week, and sometimes just getting the pulse of the team in the middle of season will give an extra off day just to allow the bodies to recover a little bit more, and also to allow their minds to recover, because it does become a grind in a different way, for sure. So that is my strange perspective on conditioning, and I would love to hear any questions that anybody has about that.
What would you recommend for, say, like a travel ball coach who does not see their players every day, to, something to give the players to do when you're not with them?
So like specific workouts to do when you're not there? I really love interval training. I think it does a lot for a player's fitness. So for example, a workout that they can do either running or biking. So 10 seconds hard, 20 seconds off. You can do it all different levels. Like you could do a 30-second hard 2-minute rest kind of thing. I think in our game, there is a lot of rest. You have to be able to turn it on, rest, turn it on, rest. So I would say interval training is a really good one, and changing up what the length is. With the national team, we do anywhere from a 5-second with the remainder of the minute to recover to 2 minutes. So we have it's one of the tougher workouts, a 2-minute shuttle run. So it's 20 yards down and back for 2 minutes. And then you get 3 minutes to recover, and then do that again as many as 7 times. So that one's extremely tough, whereas obviously the 5 seconds with the remainder to rest is a lot easier. But I think training all those different levels, and that's something easy that they can do, outside if it's warm enough, on a treadmill or on a bike. We try to incorporate kind of a longer, more relaxing run as well, once a week, kind of a recovery conditioning day that they can easily do on their own, 20 to 30 minutes, and just go out and conversational type pace, and then get a really good stretch in. So that's something that we'll have them do as more of a recovery conditioning day, as opposed to those hard work days. Had anybody ever heard of positive conditioning prior to today? One of the other presenters, Kelly, I was actually talking to her about it. She's the only other person I've ever met who has that same philosophy. But it's been really, really successful for me, and just kind of helped change the perspective that the players have when they walk up to practice, and they want to have fun, they want to work hard, and they want to earn the right to get better every single day. So it's been a fun journey. I think my favorite part is the faces of the players the first time I talked to them about it. But it ends up going really well. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.